Okay, another live stream. More chatting about Freemasonry. Hopefully, everybody can hear me, etc., etc. Any thoughts you guys have on Freemasonry? Positive, negative, excuse me, positive, negative, or neutral? Please let me know. I am sharing my 2025 Masonic highlights. I already talked my trip to really my trip around the world. And how much I loved it. Um, Basically going from Chicago to um, South Korea to the Philippines to Dubai to Brazil and then back to Windsor. Well, Toronto, then Windsor. Some of the lessons I took from it. I do want to share another highlight, which a lot of people may not realize is actually a highlight or a Masonic highlight, but I'll talk about why I think it's a highlight in a moment. It goes well, Dream Seeker. I hope you're doing well. Thank you for being here. We got some hearts. I think that might be Smokey. I saw you send me a message, but I haven't opened it yet. So once I get the chance to open it, let me know. Might not be Smokey, but usually when there's hearts, that means it's Smokey the Clown. We're going to be doing a live stream together on the 29th on Sunday. So I'll be on his channel. Normally he does it on mine, but this time we'll do it on his. Speaking of, though, I was talking about my trip to Manila. I came across an article, manilatimes.net 2025. The Manuel Abello Masonic Lodge, number 260, led by Worshipful Master Joaquin Jude Ledesma, shared the spirit of Christmas with displaced families and students of Miguel S. Mondia Elementary School, its adopted school for the past 12 years. The lodge members visited Yuba Elementary School in Barangay La Carlota City, where 101 families are currently sheltered. These families were evacuated following the devastation of Typhoon Tino and remain unable to return home due to continued activity of Can Leon volcano alongside the dangers of landslides and flash floods. As part of their outreach, the Brethren distributed spaghetti packs, canned goods, clothing, plus Christmas treats for the children. Through these donations, they sought to bring comfort and joy during the holiday seasons. Honestly, I love Air Canada, Babel memes, but I love flying as a general rule. I've said it before, I have a great deal of respect and gratefulness to everybody who helps make it possible to travel, whether it be the airline staff themselves, the pilots, the flight attendants, the mechanics, through to those who work at airports and make it possible, for the airports to run appropriately. Again, whether it be the amenities, the shops, through to the custodial staff who keep them clean. Keep them clean in the face of literally millions, in some cases, tens of millions of travelers every year. Keep them clean and safe. To this, make sure the runways are kept, are plowed in winter, are kept safe as well. To the air traffic controllers, nothing but respect for everybody who makes it possible to actually travel. But I'm a big fan of Air Canada. Having said that, I've flown on WestJet, I've flown on Flair, I've flown on Porter, and I've appreciated them all. Sure, but it'll be a shorter stream then because I'll have to get to sleep. But we can do it for sure. Manuel Abello Masonic Lodge number 260 continues to uphold its tradition of brotherhood and service, ensuring that even in times of hardship, the light of charity shines brightly for the community. So there you go, Manila Freemasons continuing to do an incredible job, representing Freemasonry in both Manila and around the world. We're going to give it a bit of time. We're going to see who joins. Please take a moment, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Thank you all for being here. I hope everybody is doing well. And let's give it a bit of time. Let's see who joins. Then we'll start talking, as always, about uh, well, what anyone want to talk about, but I'm going to mention a Masonic highlight from 2025. So let me just get this set up better. There we go. Tomorrow, by the way, I get to visit beautiful Amherstburg for Thistle Lodge for their installation. The Thistle Lodge installation is always really fun because basically what you do is you get the chance. It's kind of a weird time because it's that strange time between Christmas and New Year's, um, where most people it's kind of almost a break, but not quite. They still got to go to work, but they're still recovering from Christmas, getting ready for New Year's. Having a Masonic meeting, a special Masonic meeting in that time can be really, really special. Hello, way too crazy. I think you're new to the stream. Please hit like and subscribe. Either a healthy kid, that's what matters. Tartar sauce, please hit like and subscribe. Um, and I hope everybody is doing well. Consider also a super chat, help out the channel. Well, way crazy. That's probably not good. Maybe it's worth sleeping it off. Remix, unmarked helicopters. Where are these unmarked helicopters of which you speak? Are they in the room with us right now? Anyway, everybody's doing well. Thank you, Remix, for being here. Please take a moment. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. I hope you're doing well. Let me know how you're doing and if there's anything you want to talk about. I also do not know what Super Drone EF wave beans to the brain means. But I hope you like and subscribe. I don't know if I am not a droid. These are not the droids you're looking for. I identify as a Freemason since 2007, and I love chatting about it. So this is my real job. Help me make it a real job by hitting the like and subscribe button. The goal of this is to turn my passion for Freemasonry into a profession. So if you want to help out with that, please hit like, please hit subscribe. And let me know if you have any thoughts on Freemasonry, positive, negative, or neutral. I'd love to hear them. I'm also now monetized on Meta on Facebook, which I'm not really used to. I don't do a lot of content through Facebook. I'm going to start doing more. But if you hit the like and subscribe button, that can help big time in chatting and streaming and all that good stuff. And turning my passion for Freemasonry into a profession. It is not. Freemasonry is not a cult. Despite what conspiracy-minded folks will say. It's not a cult for a variety of reasons, but I would say the main one is Freemasonry. Cults encourage you to keep separate from your friends and family. Freemasonry actually tells you to put your family and your work and other aspects of your life ahead of it. Freemasonry is a A1 stay strong. I do not know who A1 is. Freemasonry references a club or fraternity or organization that has existed for over 300 years that evolved from stone Masonic guilds in the Middle Ages. Well, if I told you the secrets, they wouldn't be secrets, right? There is no true secrets in Freemasonry. What matters in Freemasonry is not the secrets. The true secrets are well known to everybody. In some ways, Remix is right. What people think about Freemasonry, everybody has their own views on Freemasonry and their own view as to what is and is not important within Freemasonry. I mean, I choose not to, but it's not the same thing as saying I can't, right? There's a difference between not being able to do something and choosing not to do something. That's a really important thing to keep in mind. We're going to give it a bit of time. I'm just going to wait for the questions or comments or thoughts from people. Any ideas you have on Freemasonry, again, positive, negative, or neutral, I'd love to hear them. On a daily basis, well, I mean, that's going to depend on the Mason, right? Because every Mason will have his own life outside of Freemasonry. So, I mean, he'll deal with his employment, his family responsibilities, his hobbies. There is no like prescribed day for a Freemason. He may, depending on how active he is within Freemasonry, attend different meetings, go to different events, celebrations, Masonic meetings, get correspondence from Lodge, all that stuff. However, for example, like me, right, what I do almost every day is stream and focus on this channel, which is something I love doing, but that's where my focus is. So, the world is not flat, the world is a sphere. I don't know that because I'm a Freemason. I know that because I have common sense, for whatever it's worth. And I mean, aliens may have started human life. Aliens, who knows? Life may have started on. When I say aliens, I don't mean little green men or like Prometheus figures. I don't believe in that stuff. But it's certainly possible that life started from aliens, or from not aliens in like intelligent aliens. They don't believe that intelligent aliens exist, but maybe it started from like bacteria on an asteroid. Who knows? It's possible. Jason Shank, I'm 42. I'm also an 18th degree. 18th degree Scottish Rite Mason. Jason Shank, though, with the joke that all the kids are saying. That's a great question, Rocky Balboa. In the world, I don't know. So in America, there's approximately 850,000 Freemasons. In Canada, there's approximately, I'd say 40,000 Freemasons, give or take. 40 to 50. In the world, this is a very rough guess, but I would say about 7 million, roughly, with the majority actually in Europe and Asia. I had no idea if he was talking about degree or age either. I still don't know what he was talking about. Having said that, it's wonderful to have everybody here. San Dixon says, Freemason is demonic. My dad got out because of the evilness. So Freemasonry is not demonic. As someone who's taken part in a ton of Masonic rituals or watched a ton of Masonic rituals, Freemasonry is not demonic. If your dad may have got out of it because he did not enjoy it, which is perfectly fine. People are free to, Freemasonry is not for everybody. Or he may have joined a clandestine lodge as well. You need to keep that in mind. Having said that, San Dixon, you are welcome to hit the like button and the subscribe button, and I do appreciate you being here. I've been a Freemason since 2007. I've attended over 1,000 meetings, worldwide. I was just talking about one of my 2025 Masonic highlights, which was traveling around the world. Matt Starbait. Okay, well, Matt, it's good to have you here. And I hope that you're doing well. As always, it is 1 a.m., so obviously it's later on in the evening for me, 1 a.m. Eastern. What's the elevator? I don't know what the elevator pitch of Freemasonry is. Freemasons don't really recruit. We don't have a good elevator pitch. And also joining Freemasonry is a leap of faith. I will give you if somebody would ask me why join Freemasonry, my answer would be it gives you the opportunity to try to build a better world through the application of brotherly love, relief, and truth. So that would be my 2 cents for whatever it's worth. Yeah, I mean, I know what he's trying to say, though, right? And that is something we as Freemasons struggle with, which is how do we describe Freemasonry to those who ask? It's kind of ironic because so often we'll say, okay, to be one, ask one. but then someone will come and actually ask us questions and we won't have a good answer for them. We won't know what to say to them. So there is no single goal to being a Freemason other than the same goal that exists for every different group and organization, which is to fulfill the human desire to belong to something. That really is why Freemasonry started. It was just about being part of a group. At the time, a group of stonemasons who were willing to take membership, who were not themselves stonemasons. And then from there, everybody kind of develops their own purpose, right? Like, for some, it's to be closer to family. Such as me, it's about, trying to build a better world. We build things metaphorically, boat, 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 3 boats. Subscribe, subscribe, subscribe. We build things in a metaphorical sense, right? When it comes to, Freemasonry, it evolved from stonemasons. Those were people who actually built things out of stone, be it homes, be it walls, whatever it is, they built things out of stone. And they developed guilds or unions to help train and work with their members, to develop them from apprentices to master masons, or at least apprentices to fellow crafts. Freemasons or speculative masons started to join for the social aspect, the social safety net, the support, to belong to something, and it kind of grew from there. Turtles all the way down, indeed. Honestly, Rocky, you're not completely wrong. It is that. A lot of people would describe Freemasonry as a very formalized, historical guys' night out, and that's not completely wrong. There's more pomp and circumstance added to it for a variety of reasons. But at its core, it is a very formalized guys' night out. But we do a little bit better than someone's garage. We usually actually have our own buildings. But we have, rituals, ceremonies, but all that stuff really, it's to serve the core function of getting together with other people and belonging to something. Well, that's a very broad statement, San. I don't think we are connected to so many crimes. That's called a leading question. You're assuming the answer. Some Freemasons have committed crime throughout history because Freemasons are human beings, and human beings are not perfect, including Freemasons. I do believe that if you follow Masonic philosophies or ideas, you can generally be expected to lead a life that is more focused on the good and not the evil. And in fact, within Freemasonry, we are taught that if somebody who is a Mason is committing crimes, we are to inform the police, but and not hide them or keep the secret. However, human nature is such, people are going to commit crimes. Even Freemasons, even plumbers, even football players. Freemasons are not some special group of people. Hello, Ethan. There are many Freemasons who themselves are Christians, so sounds good to me. That happens, airline pilot. That's why you should not be a porch pirate. Thank you, Rocky. I appreciate that. I do these streams Mondays through Fridays, 1 a.m. and 1 p.m. And then also very often on weekends, I post special interviews, things like that. Well, I appreciate that, San Dixon. I always appreciate somebody praying for me. Kite. I do not Rackers. Do not know what that name means. But Kite is, I don't know, sounds vaguely concerning. Good to see you. Thank you for being here. Please hit like, please hit subscribe. I don't think I'm brainwashed either. I think I've been a Freemason for a long time, and it's something that I very much enjoy. But some people love it, some people don't. My purpose of this channel is to promote and talk about the ways Freemasonry was and is relevant in our communities. And yet here I am talking about it. So what does that tell you? Way too crazy. Maybe some of the stuff you've heard about Freemasonry is in fact incorrect. You got to keep in mind, just because somebody says something online, it doesn't mean it's true. And that goes for me as well. I certainly think everybody should take what I say also with a grain of salt. There's nothing wrong with that. I thought you were 32. We're going to give it a bit more time. We're going to wait to see who joins. Then I'm going to talk about another Masonic highlight. This is not sorcery. This is Freemasonry. Despite what some people say, Freemasonry is not sorcery. But please take a moment, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Welcome, Amokor. Membership is very down, and times are very different. It's always been okay to talk about membership, though. This idea that Freemasons are, secretive, that's kind of a new idea that really came around in the 60s. Freemasonry was much more open for many years. Hello, Hawkins. Thank you for being here. Well, I don't know what that means, but please hit the like and subscribe button nonetheless. I think as of tomorrow, I'm going to be at my 4,000 watch hours in the last 12 months, which is a very big milestone. So thank you. I don't think you're brainwashed, San Dixon, but somebody above said that something effective, good for you for not being brainwashed. That makes me think the implication is somebody on the stream or me, I am brainwashed. I think everybody needs to find their own level of peace and comfort in life. And if you found it through Christianity or Jesus, then good for you, and more power to you. Like I said, Freemasonry welcomes men of all different faiths and beliefs, including Christianity. We have many Christian Freemasons, as well as many, again, Muslim, Jewish, Hindu, Sikh. Freemasonry is a civic organization. It's not a religion. Making a quick note here. No, not everybody who said that they are Christian is a Christian. I mean, I'm not saying that I know for sure how many people are themselves. Like, it's possible to say you're a Christian, not be a Christian. By that token, I suppose it's possible to say you're a Freemason and not a Freemason. People will have different views and different interpretations of these things, which is perfectly fine. I don't think it's my position to judge anybody, though. To me, if you say you're a Freemason, if you say you're a Christian, then I'm going to take you at your word for it, especially if you're one of my brothers who is a Freemason. Now, if you say you're a Freemason, I'm going to need, some questions, because to be a Freemason, you need to belong to a Masonic lodge. I'm going to ask you questions about your Masonic lodge, et cetera, but that's a different story. When it comes to one's religious faith, I tend to take that myself as an article of faith or a matter of faith. The Bible tell you about false prophet and people who come to deceive. I'm actually reading the Bible at the moment, or rereading it. I mean, I think there's always that danger, though, with anybody, right? The idea of false prophets, people deceiving, a wolf in sheep's clothing. That, unfortunately, is the nature of humans. Very often that is the case. You could argue clandestine lodges are themselves, false prophets in some ways, not in a religious sense, but are wolf in sheep's clothing. So that absolutely is the case and can happen very often. I think, and so which is why, but I mean, even then, there are a lot of, people who, for example, will wear a Masonic ring, will wear a Masonic shirt or whatever it might be, either because their dad or their family member was a Freemason and they believe that because they had family who were Freemasons, they can, get into, they're automatically a Freemason. Some join clandestine lodges. You just have to be really careful with that stuff. Super Dab, welcome. Merry Christmas to you as well. Thank you for being here, and I hope that you're doing very well. Please take a moment, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. If you're new to the stream, Super Dab, I hope you're having a great Christmas. I hope you're having a great New Year's as well. Thank you so much for being here. We're just going to get a bit more time. We're going to wait to see who joins before I start to talk about another 2025 Masonic highlight. Well, it's hard for me to say because I'm not a Christian. I don't really want to speak for Jesus per se. What I will say is I don't think he would segregate. Based on my understanding of Christianity, it's non-segregationist. It welcomes everybody. At least that's my understanding. Take that for whatever it's worth. Careful with what stuff? Careful with assuming someone is a Freemason? Well, because very often people will wear again, they'll have a ring, they'll have a shirt, they'll claim to be a Freemason, but they'll be part of a clandestine lodge. And if I think it's important to maintain the secrets of Freemasonry or maintain the private elements of Freemasonry or our modes of recognition, which I do, if I'm assuming that someone with the ring is automatically a Freemason, that could run the risk of sharing private elements of our rituals. So you have to be careful. You have to do your due diligence. And clandestine lodges as well. Well, I'm not worried. I'm just hanging out on YouTube having fun. I'm going to say no, but I don't know for sure. I don't want to speak for Christianity, but I'm going to say no. What I can tell you is Freemasonry is not segregated. We have, in my lodge, we have Black members. We have African American, Black, white, Asian, European, Indigenous, Hindu, Sikh. One of the greatest things about Freemasonry is its welcoming to people, not only of different ethnicities, races, religions, politics, ages, socioeconomic background, languages. Well, that's a good question, San Dixon. Why are there private elements if Freemasonry is so good? I'm going to give you the same example I've given a bunch of times, so forgive me if I'm chewing my food twice. Let's imagine you have I would love to initiate an alien. Let's imagine you have a family recipe, Sam Dixon, and let's imagine it's a really, really good family recipe, like it's delicious and everybody loves it. And everybody's asking you for the recipe. If it's a family recipe that was passed down from your grandparents to your parents to you, you're going to pass it on to your kids. You're probably not going to necessarily share it with other people, not because outside the family, not because there's anything negative or bad about the recipe, but rather maintaining the privacy of the recipe between you and your family members is a way to maintain the bonds between past, present, and future generations of the family. Freemasonry is the same way. By maintaining certain private elements of it, we are able to better maintain the bonds of brotherhood between past, present, and future generations. So I think that to me is the most important part of Freemasonry. Essentially, honestly, that's not true. It's not the most important part of Freemasonry. But when you ask why is it that I maintain the private elements of Freemasonry, ultimately it's because I want to maintain the bonds of brotherhood between past, present, and future generations. Others maintain it for the principle, right? Everybody maintains it for different reasons, but I can give you my reasons. Cyril Wingneck. Love me or die and go to hell. Well, not everybody is Christian on the stream, but again, if it works for you, then more power to you. Um, Cyril Wingneck, thank you for being here. Please take a moment, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and I greatly appreciate you joining. Well, I mean, if that's what you think, that's fine, San. You're welcome to have whatever thoughts you want when it comes to Freemasonry, right? I can only give you my experiences based on my 20 years of being a Freemason, combined with my travels around the world and my activity therein. You're welcome to disagree with me, and that's perfectly fine. I would say, however, certainly to join Freemasonry, there is a leap of faith involved. All I can tell people, and I've told it to them before, is there's nothing within Freemasonry when it comes to any of the rituals that are either illegal, dangerous, or would be violation of anyone's civic, religious, or um, civic, religious, familial work, any other duties one may have in the community in their day-to-day lives. So there you go. But yes, Jason Shank, this is Square and Compass Promotions for the win. I hope everybody's doing well, having a great night. Thank you again, everybody, for being here. Please, as always, take a moment if you're new, hit that like, subscribe button, share this stream with others, and I hope everybody's going to have an excellent, excellent night. Mr. TJ Add whatever, where is, are you part of are you a YouTube or Patreon member, Mr. T? Because if you are as a paid Patreon member, or, well, if you are a paid Patreon member, anywhere from $3 to $50 per month, you actually do get a Christmas present. You get some correspondence every year at Christmas. If you are a YouTube member, you get exclusive polls and exclusive live streams. Well, San, I guess what I have to say is based on the way I live my life and the way, you know, I can't convince you Freemasonry is good. I can hopefully convince you that I'm good and I'm trustworthy. And that is kind of a responsibility of every Mason, at least everyone who claims or is a Mason and talks about being a Mason. They have to live their life in such a way that people will believe that when they say that Freemasonry is a force for good, or at least a good thing within their life, that they'll believe them. And at the end of the day, it's no different in some ways than when somebody tells me, you know, I should join their church. The first question is, how are they acting in their day-to-day life? And if they're acting in a manner that is consistent with a good person, I'm more likely to take that leap of faith. Well, Mr. T, that's between you and Santa Claus. I can help you there. Fair enough. And I hope you find your way to whatever brings you peace and happiness. It sounds like you've got it already through Freemasonry, and so, or sorry, already through Christianity and Jesus, and so good for you. We're going to give it a bit more time. We're going to wait to see who joins. Please, as always, take a moment to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Thank you, everybody, for being here and being part of Square and Compass Promotions. We're just hanging out. So another highlight I had this year, I've talked about this before. Dun, dun, dun. We do. I mean, I think Canada has actually claimed to the North Pole, at least so I've heard. So maybe Santa Claus is a Canadian. Well, I'm sure the henchman from Spy Kids then was a very handsome fella. KG is in custody. Please hit the like and subscribe button, by the way. Um, well, I think churches maintain certain esoteric elements too. If I went to a church, for example, and asked them for their financial statements, they would say no, because I'm not entitled to that information. Every group and organization has certain private elements when it comes to, you know, the organization itself. Um, so I mentioned this before. One of my Masonic highlights for 2025 was in September of 2025, getting to watch The Long Walk in theaters. Now, The Long Walk was originally a book written by, no, I haven't, Ryan. I keep meaning to, and I haven't got around to it. Written by Stephen King. It was actually written by him in like the 70s, but it wasn't published until the 90s, if I recall correctly, under his pseudonym Richard Bachman. And it's probably my second favorite book of all time. Sometimes, for a while, it was my favorite book. It's gone back and forth between my first favorite and my second favorite book of all time. Now, spoiler alert, if anybody hasn't, Freemasonry is not evil, Ricky Blizzard. If anybody hasn't read or watched The Long Walk, I'm going to give you guys the spoilers, though most people understand the basic premise. The whole point of The Long Walk is it's set in some type of dystopian future where basically, in the movie, 50 kids, in the book, it's 100 teenage boys, are basically set in this contest. The contest is they have to start walking at a pace of 3 miles per hour, continue walking for as long as they can. If they slow down too many times, eventually they are given their ticket, which is otherwise known as they are shot. Once there is one walker left, he's the winner. Now, you may be asking yourself, why would that be a Masonic highlight for me? Well, I think that The Long Walk, both in its theory and, the story, actually does apply to Freemasonry, particularly why it is and the value and the importance of creating friendships, family, brotherhood on this thing called life, right? Because one of the kind of the challenges, the difficulties, the battles, the seemingly contradictions that exist within both the book and the movie The Long Walk is this question of why should anybody choose to make friends, during this long walk? Because best case scenario is you will survive, but in the process, every single one of your friends will at some point or another be killed. That's the only way for you to survive, is for everybody else that you make friends with to die. And also, if you're friends with them, you're going to have to deal with the emotional difficulty and the emotional challenge of seeing your friends pass away. So the logical argument seems to be it makes way more sense to simply to not make friends, to try to go through this contest, to go through this thing on your own. However, you could argue that the same thing is true within life. Like, why should we as, human beings, why should we make friends with people when we know that the best case scenario is they will die before us, and we'll deal with the emotional challenge of seeing our friends die or get married and seeing our wife or husband die, or maybe in some ways the better case scenario, in some ways the worst case scenario is we will die first and our friends will have to mourn our passing. You would think that choosing to make friends, choosing to create brotherhood, choosing to be part of something bigger than yourself is actually going to create more emotional and psychological trauma than it's worth. However, the whole point, one of the whole points of the long walk, and you also see it in the book, is those participants who actually choose to make friends, who choose to support one another, they are actually able to walk longer as a general rule and survive longer than those who try to go it alone and don't make friends. And I think there's a lesson for that in Freemasonry. Like, why is Freemasonry important? Why is it important to try to find brotherhood in this life? Even though everybody in my Masonic lodge, including me, sooner or later is going to die. And for a lot of them, I'm going to have to see them die and deal with the pain of seeing them pass away. Why is it still worth it to form brotherhood? Well, it's worth it because despite the psychological and emotional trauma of seeing someone who is a brother to you, either family, friend, however it is, or brother to you, pass away, it still results in you being able to, to use the metaphor of the movie or the book, to walk longer. In fact, all the evidence points that not being lonely, having friends, having brothers, having people in your life that you can count on, actually helps you live a longer life. It actually helps your life expectancy. So it allows you to make it further down the road. It's that importance of connection that we all seek, that we all look for. And so I always took from the book and then from the movie a very strong Masonic lesson, which is a reminder, especially because I'm part of the fraternal side of Freemasonry. In the movie, all of the participants are young men. So it's this fraternity and the way that we form fraternities and the reason that we form fraternities, the reason we form brotherhood, the reason we form bonds. Even though, yes, we're going to have to see the people we love and care about die, ultimately, forming brotherhood allows all of us to walk together longer, to live for longer, to live better, to live happier lives. And the pain of losing someone is worth the joy of having them in your life. Not only is that metaphorically true, but based on all the science and research, including from the Surgeon General 2 years ago, it is literally true. And so I guess that's my answer to that. So that was a highlight. It was also a highlight because I absolutely loved that book and had been waiting for years to see it turned into a movie. So when it was turned into a movie, that was just a highlight for my year in and of itself. And then on top of that, to actually see it done so well and to see the metaphor of brotherhood and the value of brotherhood so well explained really helped me. It was a real highlight for me as well. So that's another highlight of my 2025, watching The Long Walk and being reminded of the lesson, reminded of the value of brotherhood in helping us get through the challenge that is life. And to be reminded that the emotional challenge of losing people is worth the benefit of having the emotional support to keep you going. Favorite musical, DJ King of Kings. I don't really watch musicals, so I don't know if I can say one. Please, by the way, hit the like and subscribe button. I would greatly appreciate it. Sorry I can't be of more help there. I don't know if I have a favorite musical. Ricky, well, I appreciate San Dixon, you saying that you can't say it's evil. I don't, Freemasonry is not evil. Freemasonry is a civic organization. Certainly within Freemasonry, there are good people and there's also going to be bad people. That's human nature. But I think if you follow Freemasonry, or at least if you kind of try to align yourself with the symbolic lessons of Freemasonry, you're more likely to live a good life, if you want to call it that, to be a good citizen, a good part of the world. At least that's my theory. We do not think geese are gods, XRS. I've never once heard that before. So I do not know to what you are referring, but XRS, I hope you'll hit the like and subscribe button and let me know where you're getting this geese as gods business. And by the way, I think as of tomorrow, I'm going to reach the 4,000 hour mark, which means I can start to gain revenue through advertisements. So while Freemasonry is not political, we have Democrats, Republicans, liberals, conservatives, NDP, and everything in between within Freemasonry. I am not a drill sergeant. Do I look like one? I'll take it. Drill sergeants are big, tough, scary dudes. So I much appreciate it. I am a Freemason, though. I've been a Freemason since 2007, so it's crazy to think almost 20 years, which is nuts to think it's been that long. We're going to give it a bit more time. I'm going to wait to see who else joins. We're just here chatting about Freemasonry. I'll make this a poll question. Just we'll see if anybody can answer. Did you watch the Okay, yes or no? Cool. I mean, I don't know if I ever had any professors or teachers who were Freemasons. You're not always going to know, right? They have to announce it. I don't recall ever meeting any any professors who at least mentioned they were Freemasons, but I'm sure there were some over time. Who knows? But I can't think of any off the top of my head. But that's very cool. Let's see. Did you watch The Long Walk in theaters? 2 no's. You guys are missing out. Currently, it's available on Prime for whatever it's worth. So maybe check it out there if you get the chance. It's a really good movie. And maybe if you do, you can leave a comment on this stream and let me know, what do you think of, or what did you think of it? Did you enjoy it? I'd love to know your thoughts on it. I loved it. I thought it was great. I think obviously, I think, what's the word I'm looking for? Excited, but also a little bit nervous just because I love that book so much. And having to wait so long for it to be turned into a movie, you're always nervous about how well will they do. But I think overall they did it justice. There were a couple areas where I think the book still excelled as compared to the movie, but that's not to say the movie wasn't very, very good. We do not control the banks, 876. If we did, I'd have a lot more money. Freemasons do not control the banks. Someone's been spending way too much time on social media, I think. Because I'm guessing where that came from. Sorry, there are no higher ups within Freemasonry. That's one of those great myths that exists within Freemasonry, that exists outside of it, the idea that there are quote unquote higher ups. Freemasonry is jurisdictional. So, for example, in Ontario, the highest rank you can get is Grand Master of Ontario, highest office. He sets rules and regulations along with the board for Freemasonry within Ontario. He does not set the rules beyond that. So there are no higher ups. Rothschilds might have been important people and Freemasons, but being Freemasons did not make them important people, right? In the same way, George Washington would have been president of the United States whether he was or was not a Freemason. The two things are separate. That's not to say that Freemasonry may not have influenced some of George Washington's ideas and philosophies. But that's not the same thing as saying they control. Sorry, Freemasons are not, A, Freemasons don't rule the world, but B, Freemasons are not interested in ruling the world. That's not what we're all about. And even if we wanted to, we couldn't, because again, the way that Freemasonry is set up, it's not set up in such a way as, there's not a single governing organization. Within the globe, there's jurisdictions, and those jurisdictions control different aspects or parts of Freemasonry, or different areas, and even control isn't the right term. They set rules and constitutions and kind of the standard for Freemasonry. I mean, I would disagree with you right off the bat in terms of the majority of world leaders. I mean, where are you basing that on? So, for example, Donald Trump is not a Freemason. Mark Carney is not a Freemason. The Prime Minister or President of Mexico is not a Freemason. I mean, to my knowledge, the vast majority of world leaders are actually not Freemasons. So I do not know to what you are referring, but I think your information is incorrect. I'm not sure where you got, like, from where did you get the information that the quote unquote majority of, horror, that the majority of world leaders were Freemasons? The 33rd degree is an honorary degree. Yes, Mikey, that's a great way to put it. The idea of the way you put it, I think that's absolutely correct to say the third degree is the highest degree and the rest are parallel. That's a very good way to put it. That's how I always describe it. Look, you could, I'm not saying we should, that would make me very sad. You could absolutely, however, remove the third degree from Freemasonry, and the Freemasonry would continue to exist. And for 99% of Freemasons, nothing within their Masonic journey would change, right? What matters most is the first 3 degrees within Freemasonry. That's the foundation. Without those degrees, Freemasonry would cease to exist. I did have an awesome Christmas and Boxing Day, Dylan. Thank you for being here. I heard Walt Disney was a Mason. I don't know if he was a 33rd degree Mason, though. But I did hear that he was a Freemason. I don't know for 100% sure. I also don't know what rank or what degree he had achieved. But yeah, it's possible. He very well could have been. I can't say yay or nay. I think some, I do think in some instances, people have told me that there's Masonic symbolism, but I've never actually seen any confirmation of that. So, like Masonic symbolism at Disney World, but I'm not a big Disney fan. I don't really. I've been to Disney World once when I was, I think, 7 or 8. So I can't say I don't really watch Disney movies either. So I cannot say. Well, I'd have to go. Yeah, I mean, I'm not that interested, but I mean, I'd probably say online if he was or not. I could look it up. But as again, somebody who's not a big Disney fan, having said that, I do appreciate the idea of having one's head frozen. I got to get my head frozen. I think that'd be a really cool way to go. Just my humble opinion. No, freezing head is not a ritual. He might have just been crazy. I mean, I don't even know if his head is frozen. I just heard it was. Well, I heard he was frozen. Like I heard his whole body was frozen, is what I heard. Again, I don't know if it's true or not. But I heard he had frozen himself and planned to be unthawed in future. Why did children go missing? Because the world is oftentimes a very sad and tragic place. I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of, I mean, they could be kidnapped for or go missing for all sorts of reasons. In some cases, they may run away on their own and just get into an accident and never be found. In some cases, they may be taken for, I don't think I need to talk about some of the reasons someone may abduct children. Some cases, it may be family and like, who knows? But I can only imagine all the different possibilities. But I mean, if you're asking more in like the most basic sense, it's because the world is often a very tragic and very sad place, and humans are imperfect, um, and will commit all these types of horrible things to not just to both themselves and to the most vulnerable parts of or members of the community, which is incredibly sad. Um, well, you can think whatever you want to think, 876, but that's very silly. Um, Freemasons are not, I mean, I don't even know what to say to that. I mean, so I worked in a jail for 5 years. I was a probation officer for 5 years. I can tell you the majority of times when kids go missing, very often it's family members who are responsible. Um, but yeah, I don't even know what to say about that other than that's a very silly thing to say. It sounds to me like 876, you may have some problems in your life, and I wish you best of luck dealing with them. Um, they can be evil, Dylan. They can be evil. I think very often they're actually weak, and that weakness gets represented or expressed through evil actions. Um, but 876, I think you may need to get yourself some help. Well, not every lodge has red carpets. It depends on the lodge. The checkered floors, that's more common. That's usually to represent the duality between good and evil, right and wrong, right? The idea of there's good and evil in the world, and we want to try to focus on, building ourselves up in such a way as to be good, and not evil, but to recognize that both exist in the world. The red carpets, I mean, I don't know how common red carpets are, to be honest. In my experience, my lodge has both a red carpet and a blue carpet. But in my experience, red carpets are actually not that common. Well, are you referring to King Solomon's Temple? 1 second. Because I have seen pictures of the entrance to King Solomon's Temple, and there's a red carpet leading into it, but that's not a common symbol. It's more the mosaic pavement and the checkered floor is what you're thinking of. But I don't, you oftentimes, red carpet is not something I see very often. I think you're getting it mixed up with either the mosaic pavement or the checkered floor. Sometimes, I mean, that was not just lodges in Canada, Mikey. A lot of lodges did that. They would use chalk because oftentimes they would be renting space from somebody else, like renting space above a tavern. They would have wood floors and they would use chalk to trace out where the officers would sit, things like that. And then when the meeting was finished, they would wipe it all away. It was also a way to maintain certain private elements of the ceremonies. But that's a really cool, little big piece of history. The idea of Freemasons actually having their own, purpose-built buildings, their own furniture, that's a relatively new invention or new part of the craft. It primarily comes from the 1920s, or thereabouts, when Freemasonry started to grow with so many members and so many numbers of people joining that Freemasons could actually, for the first time, really, not only create and build their own purpose-built buildings, but purchase their own furniture, get the insurance for the furniture, etc., etc. I mean, Freemasons didn't convince the world that Iraq, that was a political situation. Freemasonry is not political. George Bush is not a Freemason. 876, you've been spending way too much time looking at nonsense on the internet. My suspicion is you may be not leading the best life, and instead of focusing on yourself, you're retreating into conspiracy theories. But, I mean, to the extent that anybody convinced, I think it would have been George Bush. George Bush is not a Mason, neither is Tony Blair. I believe George Bush was a member of Skull and Bones out of Yale, but that's a different organization. Yeah, well, that's one of the beautiful things about Freemasonry, Mikey. Freemasonry is common purpose with individual interpretation, or common experience with individual interpretation. That's one of my favorite things about Freemasonry, is the way we can, within the common purpose of the craft or the common experiences of the craft, find our own individual interpretation and find our own individual purposes within the common experiences. Well, so Magog is not Masonic, and also I don't think he was. I highly question that. But in either event, he was not. He was not a Freemason either, to my knowledge. So very sorry, you've been getting some nonsense information. I understand information like that can be very appealing, especially if you're struggling in life and you're looking for a way to make sense of it, but you are incorrect. It is 876. Again, George Bush, either of the Bushes, to my knowledge, were not Freemasons. Tony Blair, I don't believe, was a Freemason. I can double check that. It looks like he was alleged online, but there's no proof that he was a Freemason. I don't think he was. If he was, it would have been easy to verify it. Yes, that's absolutely a good way to look at it, Mikey. Being a Freemason doesn't make you good, nor does it make you bad. What it does is it gives you a different and I believe valuable perspective through which you can look at the world. Um, I believe it also can absolutely, give you a sense of brotherhood, support, friendship, all the things that are valuable. Yes, Bush was Skull and Bones. I do believe that is the case out of Yale. At least that's what I heard. So, Philly Birds, it's a club for men. And also there's the women's side of it as well. But Freemasonry at its core, when people call it a club, they're not completely wrong. Thinking about it as a club or a very formalized version of a guy's night out is not a bad way to look at it. Yeah, YouTube is blocking them, so. Well, sometimes I can, sometimes I can't. YouTube isn't, it's not locked per se. YouTube isn't always going to let me show um, what Philly Birds is saying. Plus, I'm going to be ending this stream soon. I do hope you guys enjoyed it. This was me talking about another 2025 Masonic highlight. In this case, the Masonic highlight being watching The Long Walk, and the lesson I took from it is the value or re-emphasizing the value of brotherhood, friendship, kindness, all that other jazz, and why even though it does leave us open to the emotional pain of losing brothers, losing friends, losing family, losing our Masonic brothers, ultimately it helps us better kind of make it through this world and walk a little longer. Um, well, I don't think he was screaming. It didn't sound like screams to me, but the person above me has gone to sleep, which I have to as well. I would say I've turned to God, or at least turned to my supreme being, as I understand it, and I'm grateful to have done so. Cameron. My name is Cameron. Cameron Adamson. I've been a Freemason, like I said, since 2007. So almost 20 years, which is crazy to think it's been that long. Um, no, my supreme being is best understood as um, my supreme being is best understood as the rational nature of the universe as expressed through mathematical and geometric equations and understandings. So there you go. But no, your supreme, nobody's supreme being will be found or should be found in quote unquote the temple. That's not, because Freemasonry is not a religion. And we also do not worship the sun gods. Again, within Freemasonry, it's not a religion. So you need to keep that in mind. The sun gods, I mean, I guess you could argue that's Egyptian, Ra. Freemasonry certainly borrowed some symbols from Egyptian mysticism, but we also borrowed from Stoic philosophy, Enlightenment era philosophy, Christianity, Judaism, Islam, etc., etc. Many other architecture, stonemasonry. I do not know who Leo Zagami is. The Earth is round. Well, the Earth is a sphere, technically, so. Well, but Freemasonry is not an ideology, right? So Freemasonry is a club. So it's not a conflict because there's no requirement that everybody have a specific belief. So, everybody can kind of believe whatever it is they choose. That's the beautiful thing about Freemasonry. It tells us that men of different religious and philosophical and political beliefs can actually be part of the same organization without conflict. I think in 2025, very often we have this idea, soon to be 2026, we very often have this idea that if you have men or women, but men, let's say, of different political beliefs gathered together, the natural result is going to be conflict. And society and civilization cannot survive if that is our goal, or if that is what we believe. Rather, we need to accept and understand that within a civil society, we will have different political beliefs, different ideologies, and that is actually can be a source of strength, not a source of weakness. And no, the requirement is not money. Anybody who tells you that to be a Freemason, it's about how much money you have is, at best, they're lying to you. They are very likely or possibly scamming you, or more than likely scamming you. Well, so both Mikey and 876 are kind of right. Look, it is absolutely, or at least primarily speaking, it is a fraternity, right? Like the primary, um, what's the word I'm looking for? The primary um, aspect of Freemasonry is the fraternal aspect. It's where the most members are. It's where the greatest number of members are. It's been the longest historically a fraternity. But there's absolutely the Order of Women Freemasons. There's, co-masonry. There's Eastern Star. Women are a valuable part and important part of the Masonic family. You choose many things within Freemasonry. You can choose how active you are, how much you attend, offices you take. If you take an office, the danger, honestly, of like this idea of choice is the biggest challenge in Freemasonry is when you take an office and you want to have control or a level of authority within that office or ownership of the office, and the higher ups, or not even higher ups, but the old past masters is the term, start to try to micromanage you. That can be a very, very challenging issue within Freemasonry. Ronald Reagan was also not a Freemason. He was actually, interestingly enough, made an honorary Freemason through the Scottish Rite, or he was made an honorary Scottish Rite member. Technically, to be Scottish Rite, you must first be a Freemason. But he just got a certificate. I don't know how legitimate it is. My religion, I don't have a religion per se, Philly Birth. I'm not religious. I'm more spiritual. I believe that the best way to understand the Supreme Being is through the rational order of the universe, as understood through geometry and science. By the way, please take a moment, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Um, I hope that you are doing well. You don't have to like it. That's fine, but I still appreciate you being here. Hello, high altitude investing. How's it going? I hope you're doing well. I hope that you had an excellent Christmas. Yeah, I saw you online a couple days ago. I mentioned, I think I threw something in the chat. I hope that you are doing well, and I hope you had a great Christmas. Friends, family, Masonic brothers. Did you get your postcard yet? Also, out of curiosity. Um, I sent it about a week ago, so might take a little while to get to you. Well, I try not to be dodging the questions, but well, I'm glad you got it. That's awesome. And thank you again for your support of the channel through Patreon. Patreon support helps out big time. So, even just $3 a month. No, he got high altitude investing, got the postcard. Or no, not yet, but looking forward to it. So you didn't get the postcard yet. If you don't get it by mid January, let me know and I'll see if I can resend it to you. Because I mailed it on, if I recall correctly, yeah, December 18th. So, hopefully, fingers crossed, you get it before the new year. Can you film a ritual? No. Well, I mean, it's happened before, but I would not do it, and you shouldn't do it because, again, it's like sharing the family recipe online, right? All right, let's see. Maybe How to Investing did get it. Let me know. Um, I would not film it for the same reason I would not share a family recipe. Because if I were to film it and share it online, first of all, it would not be fair to other people who are taking part, who may not want it to be filmed themselves, may not want to be online, but also it would ruin the bonds of brotherhood between our family, ruin the bonds of brotherhood. Again, no different than sharing a family recipe online, right? There's something beautiful about the private nature of our ceremonies that mean it's exclusively for the brethren. And it would break an oath. But honestly, I don't worry about that so much. I worry about the bonds of brotherhood. The other thing to keep in mind um, is not every ritual is the same, despite what people think, right? One of the biggest mistakes that exist within Freemasonry, or that exists, not mistakes, one of the biggest misconceptions that exists within Freemasonry is the idea that it's the same everywhere. So if you were to see a Masonic ritual out of, let's say, Arizona, you may think that's what the ritual is. And then you join a lodge in Ontario, you're not going to enjoy or get the same thing out of the experience, because what would happen is you are going to be expecting one, instead of being present and just focusing on what's happening, you're going to be spending all the time waiting for something to happen that won't, right? Expectation is a thief of joy. Expectation or comparison is a thief of joy. Expectation very often is also a thief of joy, right? Happiness equals reality minus expectation. My advice to anybody going through a Masonic ritual is don't go in with any preconceived notions or expectations. Go in and just be present and pay attention as much as you can. That's the most important part of it. Happy holidays, Crystal Lynn. Thank you for being here. Mike Smith, I hope you're doing well. Thank you for being here. Please hit the like button. Please hit the subscribe button. I would greatly, greatly appreciate it. I hope that you are doing well. We're going to give it another few minutes and just waiting to see who else joins. Crystal Lynn, happy holidays to you as well. Actually, if anybody is celebrating, happy Kwanzaa. I just found out that today is actually the first day, or yesterday technically was the first day of Kwanzaa. So if you celebrated Kwanzaa, if you're celebrating Kwanzaa, I hope you do that as well, or are enjoying that celebration also. And thank you everybody who has 100% helped to make this channel and this December in particular, such a success. Okay, well, if you love this time of year, then that's awesome. I'm glad that you love this time of year. I hope that you continue to love it. I hope you had a great time of year. And yeah, thank you so much for joining us. Hello, Big C431. How about you just stick to calling me Cameron? Let's stick to that. They'll help you move a deck. They'll visit you in the hospital. All that stuff is very important, very much a part of Freemasonry, and is incredibly beneficial. I've talked before, all the studies show if you end up in the hospital and have visitors, you are more than likely to you're more than likely to recover quicker with less complications, not have secondary issues if you have visitors. How about hitting the like and subscribe button, Big C? Actually, the what's his name? The Surgeon General in about 3 years ago or so, wrote a report talking about loneliness as an epidemic and the health risks that are associated with loneliness. So, to be one, ask one. Find a Masonic Lodge in your area. Ask them what Grand Lodge they're affiliated with, and then you go from there. So, Nobody's sacrificing anyone. I don't know. Like on the streams, one's got over 50, which was wonderful. So, um, 50 or thereabouts. None of that is true. You do not have to sell your soul, nor do you have to donate 10G. If anybody ever told you you had to make a donation of any amount up front, they're scamming you or they're lying to you. One or the other. You can donate to Screen Times Promotions if you want. Donating to this will not make you a Freemason. However, absolutely, it will help me turn my passion for Freemasonry into a profession. If you want to do a 99-cent super chat, you're more than welcome, but that's not how you become a Freemason. And yes, annual dues, as Mikey points out, annual dues and a one-time payment, initiation fee usually. However, I don't want to pretend like it's nothing because again, there are some people who, $40 a year is how much I pay for one of my lodges. That's very inexpensive compared to a lot of other organizations. But I know if you're struggling, that can be a lot. So there is money, but the point is, it should never be the first question. If you ever go to join a Masonic lodge and the first thing they do is ask you for money, it's a scam. They're lying to you. There should be a whole process that goes in place. They should get to know you. They should give you an application. They should do votes. The, initiation fee and the dues should be the very last thing to happen before you actually join. And it should never be the first question asked. So, no, you cannot just come to lodge. First thing you got to do is get in touch and express an interest in joining. That is not true either. I've got a whole bunch of tattoos, 876. None of them have a swastika. None of them are Star of David. Again, I think 876, your life, you may not be leading the best of lives, and I think you're retreating into conspiracy theories. I mean, here's just some of my tattoos. I have way more, which I've posted all on social media, so that is the cheapest one I'm a member of. There's a whole bunch as well up here. Well, I mean, you're right, Christ Enlightenment. Being lonely has both mental and physical effects. Again, the Surgeon General of the United States actually wrote a whole paper about the negative health effects of being alone or being lonely. No, it is, it's a bunch of things. Let me see if I can show you. Nothing's wrong with it, but it's not part of Masonic tattoos that I've ever seen. I'm trying to figure out how to best. So the main tattoo is Don Quixote. I think it was Picasso. Don Quixote is one of my favorite books of all time. So that's Don Quixote and Sancho with the windmills in the bottom. Behind him are the three pillars. Those are important Masonic symbols. Coming out of the top of the pillar is a rose in honor of Rose Croix. 7 stars, which is a valuable part of Freemasonry in emulation ritual. One of them is gold. You know how well you can see the gold star there. Yellow doesn't show up well because gold is an important color within Freemasonry. Then on top of that also, we have Elm Street because I love scary movies. So Elm Street, and then with the whatchamacallit, with the spider, I've got some snowflakes and snow in honor of Winnipeg, where I grew up. And then I've also got over here, it's upside down, a entrance to King Solomon's Temple. So there you go. Um, it did, Crystal. It was a ton of work. It's been several years. I love Nightmare on Elm Street. I love scary movies. I've seen every Nightmare on Elm Street. Christ Enlightenment. If you want to check out my article I wrote about Nightmare on Elm Street, um, info at squareandcompass.ca. You can check it out that way. Send me an email. I'll send you a link. I love Stephen King as well. Christ Enlightenment. I just finished talking about one of my Masonic highlights for 2025 was watching The Long Walk, which is a movie based on a book by Stephen King, and how I took the lesson from that movie to be about the value of brotherhood and how brotherhood can keep us moving forward despite the pain and the sadness that we sometimes feel when losing a brother. Um, so info at squareandcompass.ca. Jason, thank you for being here. Please hit that like and subscribe button. Freemasonry is not a gang, so if you want to join, talk to a Masonic lodge within your area. Christ Enlightenment, is this also High Altitude Investing? Is this your other account? No, that's Wisdom in Christ. Sorry. Um, it's not up to me. Talk to the lodge in your area, Big C. We're going to give this a few more minutes. Yes, that's right. It is the Mason Man. I hope you're doing well. Thank you for being here. Uh, don't forget to take a moment, hit that like and subscribe button. I will be back on stream tomorrow. Actually, I may not be on stream tomorrow, but I will on Sunday have a brand new stream. Actually, a brand new premiere episode um, with Brother Julian Reese. Mr. Fox, I try not to be cruel, but I've had my moments. I would say, in general, the cruelest things I've ever done is not give people adequate benefit of the doubt. And the danger of doing that, the reason why that's cruelty is because it allows you to dismiss people who are struggling. Um, I'm not always humble, Christ Enlightenment. Oh, 876. You live an interesting life. I'm debating, Crystal. I haven't really joined a lot of lives. I've been so focused on my own streams. Um, right? Because, things have been going very well. To make it over 3,000 subs, to see the growth in the live streams, it's been really incredible. So, yeah, things are going really, really well. And I'm pretty much at the 4,000 watch hours over the last 12 months, which is incredible as well and a great honor. So, yeah, and I guess one thing I would add to what Mikey UCC is saying is it can take a while. Like, don't rush the process. It used to be, for years and years, it used to be that, you show up at the lodge, you express an interest, and they give you an application, and a week later, you're joining the lodge. And they're asking for, dues at that point. Now they want to take a little bit more time to get to know you and for you to get to know them. What you want to think about it doesn't be unanimous in every jurisdiction, Mikey UCC. What you want to think about is not so much investigation, it's you getting to know them and them getting to know you, right? Some jurisdictions require a criminal record check, most don't. I honestly wish there was a little bit more of an investigation process to it. I find it can be very lax. Having said all of that, really think about it not as investigation, but as a discussion. a chance for you to get to learn more about the lodge and a chance for the lodge to learn more about you. Um, so I can tell you in Ontario, um, there can be one black ball. If there's two, then there has to be another vote. They do not 876. They do not take kids of any. Why would they want to do that? That would be stupid. Aside from anything else, it'd be a pain in the ass. But no, they do not. Since I joined in 2007. The first vote I ever saw was I forget when it was, would have been 2007, actually. I joined October 2007. Probably the first vote I ever saw was in 2008. Now, if there is a black ball in there, the lodge can say, the master can call for another vote. Some jurisdictions, again, every jurisdiction is different. But it's usually a two are required. Having said that, I mean, the lesson I would say is a good way to live your life is do not go around randomly pissing people off, because there may come a time when you want to join a Masonic lodge and it just so happens that one of the people you annoyed is within the lodge. Or for that matter, it could be anything, right? It's like, be nice to everybody. You could go to a restaurant and someone you were rude to, um, uh, if you're rude to somebody on the street, and then you go to the restaurant, that person you were rude to on the street could be your waiter, could be the person cooking your food. It's one of those just pieces of general advice. You never know who might be in a position later on. They could be your waiter, they could be your airline pilot, they could be who knows what. And if you're going to be going to them asking for a favor, you need to make sure that you're being nice to everybody, because you never know. That's at least how I live my life. I always imagine, if somebody pisses me off, what if I went to a restaurant and they were my cook or serving me food? I want to be on their good side. Yes, two youth groups. And there's also, don't forget, Job's Daughters. I don't think that exists in Ontario anymore. I could be wrong, but Job's Daughters as well. But Demolay, Rainbow, excellent youth groups, an excellent part of the Masonic family. I have no idea that Jesse Jackson is the 33rd degree Mason, and I have no idea if he supports the KKK or not. If he's a Freemason, he shouldn't support the KKK, because the KKK and Masonic principles are in opposition to one another. That's awesome. Texas Freemasonry is wonderful. I know a lot of Texas Freemasons. They're great people. They're great dudes. They're great men and great Masons. Thank you so much, Riggs. I appreciate you just popping by. The KKK doesn't exist because of Freemasons. I know that Nathaniel Bedford Forrest was both a Freemason and a member of the KKK. But I mean, saying that would be like saying America exists because of the Freemasons. A lot of the founders of America were Freemasons, but that's not the same thing as a causal relationship. Um, oh, Tesla is an awesome band. Um, what's the song? No, I can't think of the song. Oh my gosh, what are Tesla's best songs? This is gonna drive me crazy. Love Song and What You Give. Those are two incredible songs by Tesla. America was not built by Freemasons. My point is, there were a lot of the American founding fathers were themselves Freemasons, but that doesn't mean America was built by Freemasons. Rather, it just means that that some people who were involved with the American founding were Freemasons, but some were Episcopalians, some were deists, right? It's not, it's correlation, not causation. And yeah, I don't believe Trudeau is a Freemason. I've never heard any evidence that he is a Freemason. He could join later, who knows? He's relatively young. I think he's in his 50s, if I recall correctly. So, um, Well, at least you're not blaming the Masons, Pearson. At least you're not blaming the Freemasons. So I appreciate that very much. Yeah, they influenced, but influence is not the same as caused, right? I think that's the thing we need to keep in mind and remember. Um, I wouldn't blackball them. I mean, you shouldn't blackball people for politics, that's for sure. That's a very dangerous road to go down. Well, I would say Christ's Enlightenment, the majority of Masons I've met have been Christian, either like practicing, observant, going to church Christians, or they don't really go to church or practice, but if you had to ask them, or if you asked them to define their religion, it would be Christian. I mean, the religious makeup within a lodge usually reflects um, the community in which it's located. So if you live in a community with, let's say, 70% Christians and 20% Muslims, 5% Jewish, let's say 5% Hindu, then within your Masonic lodge, you'll probably see a similar breakdown of religious beliefs. Andrew, I'm not pretending to be a Mason. I am a Freemason. Having said that, it's still great for you to join me. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. Consider doing a super chat. Well, you're still here and you're still chatting, so that is all the support I need. Especially because I'm very close. I'm probably going to get it in about 3 hours. My 4,000 watch hours in the last 12 months, which is a big step towards growing the channel and turning my passion into profession. Oh, 876. Way too much time on Twitter, way too much time listening to the conspiracy people. Oh, I have no idea. I don't think anybody knows what's going to come of it. I'm not a big fan of conspiracy theories, and that includes the Epstein stuff. I mean, I think I tend to just Occam's razor most things in life, and I don't think this is any different. I think he was just a really sick individual who tried to blackmail other sick individuals. And in some cases, he may have tried to blackmail them by actually having dirt on them. In other cases, he just knew that if he was, hanging out with them or associated with them, he could, cast accusations against them, release pictures, and people would just assume the worst. There's no way to, I don't think anybody knows. What I'll say though is, I think it's just, the one thing we do know, the exclusive thing I think we know for sure, is that Jeffrey Epstein was a pretty sick individual. Beyond that, I have no idea what's going to happen with any of this other stuff. Well, in that case, YouTube. Wherever you're getting your stuff, it's a lot of nonsense. Thank you, Mikey. Yeah, getting my 4,000 is, getting 3,000 was an honor. Getting 4,000 is an honor as well. So it's a big milestone. And so I'm grateful for it. Like I said, this morning I had 3,991, which means I was 9 hours away. So I am not AI generated. Oh, Mikey, that's not true. Lodges can meet twice a month, but I'm a member of 5 Masonic lodges. I also visit all my other lodges regularly, or all the other lodges in the jurisdiction regularly. In fact, I'm visiting a lodge tomorrow in Amherstburg. So it's going to be a very busy, busy time, put it that way. Freemasonry is not just one night a month, nor is it just 2 nights a month. It's a lot of nights a month. None, 876. This is it, Mikey. I'm trying to turn my passion into profession. So I saved up my money and now I'm focusing on this. I also make money through Patreon, and I have money as well available, or I have monetized through Facebook, through Meta, which I'm working on. I do not know what Canes is, person. I go to meetings, I organize events, I set up the lodge, I tear down lodges. Um, I am very active. I guess I will say I enjoy Chick-fil-A. The rare times I have it. For me, my favorite fast food would either be McDonald's or Wendy's, um, or KFC. So I'm a master of one lodge. Was assisting in the secretary role in another. Never heard of Canes. Dave was a Mason, Dave Thomas, and the Colonel was too. So both KFC and Wendy's, they were both Freemasons. So a good Mason should, you know, eat at one of those places. I'm just kidding. The most important thing you should do is, what you should do is take care of your health and be careful how much fast food you eat. Treat it as a treat. What do you guys do in the lodge? It depends on what the lodge, what's on the agenda. If it's an administrative meeting, then the focus is on all the administrative tasks that are necessary to maintain a lodge. Minutes, correspondence, fixing the building up, events planning. If it's a new brother joining or advancing, then it's a degree night. And then we focus on degrees within Freemasonry. Especially if they're going there for free, then they're definitely Freemasons. Yeah, that's a good way to look at it. We used to always call them business meetings, but I don't call it that anymore because the reason I don't do that anymore is because a lot of people hear that and then assume Freemason, it's a money-making enterprise. So now I use the term administrative or council meeting, maybe in some ways, but administrative meeting, it's all the administrative tasks that go into maintaining an organization or a building. Um, Hopefully, they should be run formally. Um, Talk about begging the questions. Freemasons are not behind the New World Order. There is no such thing as a New World Order. Um, Person, thank you for being here. I'm going to be ending this stream soon myself. I do appreciate everybody being here very much. I hope you all had an excellent night. And I'll be back on tomorrow at 1. Actually, I'll be back on tomorrow. I'm not sure what time. I'm going to be streaming, as I travel to Amherstburg. But thank you, everybody, for being here. And I hope everybody has an excellent night. I'll see you guys later. Peace. Oh, Mikey, that's a good question. In my Masonic lodges, we still read the emails out. It does feel kind of like a force, but I know more and more lodges are reverting to either, or not reverting, but changing it to either emailing out in advance or um, even distributing them like a paper copy before the meeting starts, and then either adopting as emailed or adopted as read or adopted as provided. So a lot of lodges are going in that route now. I don't know which side I'm on. There is something nice about having them read out because then for sure everybody's heard it. And if there's a particularly important, section of the minutes, by reading it out, you at least can confirm that everybody who was there heard it, especially if it's a topic that needs to be brought up again and discussed during this meeting, right? Um, so I'm back and forth because yes, refreshment is important, but so too are the minutes. The people will say George Washington didn't join Freemasonry to hear the minutes read. Maybe he did. Who knows? Maybe he actually did. In the sense of sometimes those minutes are really important. They provide a link of continuity between past and present and future meetings. Like when I was organizing an event, having the minutes read at every meeting, where part of the minutes were the progress being made on the events. It was a really valuable part of event planning to actually take a few moments to discuss where we've been and where we're going, or at least where we've been. All right, guys, no worries, Mikey. I'll see everybody soon. Have an excellent night and have a great weekend.